Good morning, everyone. It's indeed inspiring to see you back again. And I would like to welcome you to this another tech enthusiastic session, a video on the interview questions for data analytics engineer. So let me introduce you that today's discussion, today's talk will be for beginners to intermediate level. And as you know that we will continue to have such videos and such sort of discussions online. And also we have a lot of discussions offline as well on interview preparations, technical discussions, and whole set of short and long-term courses. So let's begin now. So let me share my screen and let's start with today's presentation. All right. All right. So this is top interview questions for data analytics engineer, and let me just set up my things. Okay. Yeah. So data analytics engineer, and this is compiled by my teammate Mr. Ritvish Singh, and I'll be helping you out throughout demonstrating and working on these questions. So let's begin with the question, who exactly is data analytics engineer? So if you look at the words data analytics engineer, you will probably be able to understand that what exactly will be the role of data analytics engineer if you have been following the blogs, or if you have been studying data analytics for a couple of time. So here, data analytics engineer is one who works on data starting from scratch. Scratch means from where the data gets generated, from there, and how to perform ETL, how to take the data, clean the data, and push the data into the systems where the data needs to be analyzed. And then data analytics engineer also works on analyzing the data, finding out the useful insights in the data, and the data analytics engineer also works into tools like visualization tools, business intelligence tools. So they work into this area also. So let's have a summary. So they basically clean the data, and cleaning data they provide to end users. They perform the modeling on the data, transforming, testing, deploying, and documenting. And they also apply software engineering best practices. So this is what is the role of data analytics engineer. Let us move ahead with the next question. And the first section we have is MySQL. In the MySQL section, let us start with the very basic question, the primary question, which is expected from everyone. What is a database? So a database is organized collection of data stored and retrieved digitally from a remote or local computer system. Database can be vast, complex, and such databases are developed using fixed design and modeling approaches. For example, we have MySQL, we have Oracle, we have IBM DB2, Microsoft SQL Server, Postgres. So many database examples I have given you. These all fall under a particular category which is called as RDBMS, that is Relational Database Management System. Apart from that, there are very other type of databases as well. For example, we have NoSQL databases like HBase is there, MongoDB is there, Cassandra is there. These are NoSQL databases. Moving further, we have some graph databases, we have some special databases. So databases are designed for a specific purpose, and therefore they fall under different categories. Now let us move ahead and try to understand one question from RDBMS perspective. It is very much being asked for freshers, what is the difference between truncate and delete? So these are the two commands which fall under two different categories. Delete command deletes the specific number of rows, and when we are deleting specific number of rows, then we have to provide a where clause. So once you provide where clause, then basically it matches up the condition, and the rows which fall under that condition, they get deleted. This falls under data manipulation language delete command. Now let's come to the truncate command. So truncate command is used to delete all the rows. So here we need not to provide any kind of condition. Like here we provide a where clause. So here we need not to provide a where clause that only these specific rows should get deleted. That we need not to do. Then basically another important thing which happens at the back end is in the delete command, a tuple is logged before moving it. A tuple basically means a single record, a row. But in this case, in case of a truncate command, data page is logged before removing the data from the table. So there is a difference. Okay, so tuple means it's a part of the table, and data page means it's you can consider it as the whole of the table is basically logged because the whole table's data is going to be deleted. The whole table is going to come to the very initial stage, like when we created the table. So it will come to that initial stage when there was no data inside it. Now let us move ahead and try to understand further. The delete statement removes rows at one at a time and records an entry in the transaction log. So if you understand that this MySQL operation will generate certain logs. These logs are basically entered so that whenever we are performing some backup and recovery, that time we can refer to these logs and we can get to know that what all rows were deleted. So all the entries can be found inside the log file. However, in case of truncate table, it removes data by deallocating the data pages used to store the table data. Are you getting this part? So in this particular case, what will happen? Here in the log file, in the transaction log file, it will only record the page deallocations. So here you can see the differences that each row's entry is being made in the transaction log file, and here it is not happening that way. Here basically data pages, one page, two page, three page, how many pages, data pages are there in that particular table. So only entries of those data pages will be made in the transaction log. Delete command is slower than truncate command. Truncate command is faster. You can understand why, because it is performing row by row and it is performing data page wise. So that is a reason why delete command will be slow and why truncate command is going to be faster. To use delete, you need delete permission on the table. So if you read about the DCL, data control language, so in case of DCL, each user is having some privileges on the database and database tables. So for performing delete, you need to have delete permission on the table. Now coming to the truncate table command, we need at least alter permission on the table. So alter permission, are you getting this part? Alter is coming from DDL, right? So therefore you need alter permission here. And in case of delete, you need delete permission. Now let's move ahead and understand more on it. Now, identity of the column retains identity after using delete statement on the table. However, identity in case of truncate command, identity of the column is reset to its seed value if the table contains an identity column. So this means that in case of delete, it is just working on the data itself. It is working on the data, that means tuples or records. But here in case of truncate, if you see, why we call it as DDL command? Because it will reset the identity column. It will reset it. So this is a difference. Okay. Therefore, we call it as DDL command, data definition language. It impacts the structure of the table. However, delete does not impact the structure of the table, does not make any kind of changes in the structure part. It only works on the tuples part. Now, the last point I have is a delete. Delete can be used with indexed views. Truncate cannot be used with indexed views. Let us move to the next question now. How will you write a query to add primary key constraints on a table existing in the database? So this means you already have a table. You already have a table. Now, how are you going to add a primary key constraints over there? Just think it over. You can write in the comment box as well. Okay, so let's discuss the answer. So here we will be using alter table command. So alter table, and then we will be using table name and add primary key and then column name. For example, if I have a table, for example, I have a table named as employee. So how it will be working for me? It will be working for me like alter table and emp employee add primary key, and then I'll have to write, let's say, ID. So ID is the column on which I would like to have the primary key. So this is how it is going to work for me. Okay, so alter table, don't look at the spelling, it got mistyped. So alter table, emp add primary key ID. So this is how it is going to work for me. Now let us move ahead and work further. So now the next question we have is, what are null values? So these null values are very much important to understand. Null values, if you see in a database, by default, a particular column, it has got not null. Okay, so not null. So null values, not null signifies that column should always accept an explicit value of the given data type. That means we need to make some entry when we perform insert operations on a table. Now, there are two columns where we did not use not null, which means that these columns could be null. So let me show you this. So here I have a workbench, and let me create a connection with the workbench, and let me show you this part. So what I can do is, let me just put the password over here and let it get open. So when we create a table, that time you can describe that particular table to identify whether the table is having null or not null, what exactly that table is allowing. So let me create one query over here. So yeah, new SQL file I'm opening, and let me do show databases, or directly I can go for use HR, so HR database field use, and describe employees employees. So let me run all these queries. Okay, so running through all the queries, you can see that here in the default one you can see null, null, null. So that means these particular columns, they allow null values. Okay, allowing null value means we can have some empty values inserted into it. Even if we don't put any value, they are okay with it. Okay, so this is basically called as null, that you can have empty values, you can keep it blank when you are inserting the rows into it. Many times, especially the primary key. Now you can see that here, in fact, the primary key is having null. So you would have a question that how can a primary key be null? So understand, primary key can be null, but understand, only one record will have null primary key, because primary key cannot have repetitions, so you cannot have more than one nulls into the primary key table column. Let's move ahead and try to understand the next question, which is how to find duplicate records in a table. How to find duplicate records in a table? Start thinking. So let's have the answer to it. So we can find, select column name, count column name, from table name, group by column name, having count column name greater than 1. Now, if you have any questions on it, so let's have the answer for it. For example, now in this particular table, I know that there is a repetition. In case, for example, I want to know that how many times the first name are getting repeated. Okay, so for first names, we will try to identify. Now for first names, what I will be doing, let's do select first underscore name from employees. So first name from employees. So I ran this command. So you can see that yeah, so let me run this command. Yes. So running this command will give me select. Okay, yeah. So I have made a mistake over here. Employees. The table name is employees. That's why I was thinking that why is it not running. So you can see that these are the first names I'm getting. So Stephen, Nina, Lex, Alexander. So these are the first names. Now I want to know whether the first names are getting repeated or not. So let us go back and try to understand. So you need to put the column name. So I have done the first part. Now, second thing I need to do is I need to put a count. And you know that if you are putting some aggregate function, then you must put a group by in order to get a logical output. So I need to put count column name and group by column name. So having I won't put now. So only these two things, count and group by I'm putting. The same column name I have to put. So first name, and here I have to put count, and inside count I have to put the same name, that is first name. So first underscore name is the column name, and then from employees, after that I have to put group by. So group by, and again the column name for me is same first name, because we want to group by first name itself. And now let me run and execute it. So you can see that here I can see that Stephen 2. So Stephen name is repeating. Then Alexander is also repeating. So what I can do is now I can, after group by, if you know, we need to put having. Okay, so you can put where before group by, and having you can put after group by. So here having count of column name greater than 1. So let me put here having count of column name, that is first underscore name greater than 1. So in this way I'll be able to execute this, and you can see that only those values I'm getting whose names first names are getting repeated. So this is the answer to this question. Now let us move towards the next question, and the next question we have is, how can we find the count of duplicate records in a table? Right, count of duplicate records. So in this case we find the duplicate records, and now how to find the count of duplicate records. So this way you can find the duplicate records count. So understand, select count column name and then count distinct column name. So what will happen with this? So count column name will give you the count of the column name, and then distinct column name is going to give you. So also in the first query also, if you see, we are able to get the count, and in this query also you will be able to get the count of the column name. So both can be the answer. So one question can have more than one solutions. This is also we need to understand. Now let us move ahead and try to understand what are subqueries. So subqueries, this is basically query inside a query. So subquery can be simply defined as a query within another query. Subquery is that which is embedded in where clause, or not only in where clause. It can lie in at many places. So for example, you are doing select star from, you can just put a subquery over there. So this is what is subquery. Let's have an example. The example I can give you is, for example, I want to know department ID of the person who is having maximum salary. So for this, what I will do is, I need to have a query for maximum salary. So select max, SALARY, salary from employees, EMP employees. So this is one query I need to have, and another is select DPARD, department underscore ID from employees where. So where salary, okay, salary is equal to. So here I can put this as a subquery, okay, because the maximum salary can always keep on changing. It won't remain same always. So I can put this query over here, and then I can execute. So let me execute this and try to know. So department ID is 90 for the person who is having maximum salary. Okay, so this is how we can use subqueries, and this is what is an example of subquery. Now let us move ahead and now try to understand what is a correlated subquery. So correlated means it should be related to the parent query. Subquery means query inside query. So parent query, if it is having some table, and the subquery, the insider query, it is also having the same reference. In that case, we call it as a correlated subquery. You can see here a correlated subquery is a subquery that contains a reference to a table that also appears in the outer query. So that is called as correlated subquery. Let us move ahead and try to understand what is commit, why it is needed in a query like DML command. So this is another question. Now let us understand commit. So commit is you need to enter a lot of records into a table and you are doing them and you found that there was a mistake. So what to do now? So if there was a mistake, you can go ahead and work on some statements like rollback that way. Okay. But once you have done everything and now you are sure that yes, everything is done and everything is good, now what you can do? Now you can commit. So let us understand what exactly is commit. So an essential command that is used after DML operations. The question was why it is needed in a query like DML command. Okay, so why commit is needed there? So I give you example. If you committed a mistake, you need to go for deleting. Okay, so you need to go for rollback, and on the other hand you need to go for commit if you have done everything correctly. So these are the two commands which you can use. So now after you have done insert, delete, update, then in case of production environment, your work is not saved permanently. If you are using a MySQL setup or any other setup, so it may happen that the settings are done for auto commit. So there is an auto commit also. So settings are done for auto commit. When you are doing insert, delete, update, the things are getting inserted, the things are getting the insert delete operations are getting auto committed. That may be a case. So you can check on that whether the auto commit is on or off. That is something you can check. But in case of production environment, we don't have this way. In case of production environment, when you insert something, it is not permanent. You need to run a commit command, then only it gets permanent. So that is the purpose of commit command. Okay, so once you use commit command after a transaction, the changes in the table or database are visible to other database users. That means it becomes permanent. So this is the use of commit command, and therefore we need to use it after DML commands. The next question we have is, what is a foreign key? So a foreign key is a field or a collection of fields, okay, in one table that refers to the primary key in another table. Okay, so you can see here, okay, I can show you here. Let's do some more experiment to understand it. So in this case, under the database, I can see that there is an option of reverse engineer. So let me go to reverse engineer and show you a diagram. Okay, so let me go for next, and this diagram which I'm showing to you, it is basically an ER diagram. So ER diagram can help us to understand that what sort of relationships the tables are having between them and what are all the columns inside a particular database. So now I'm executing this command, and now I'll be getting the whole of the ER diagram generated for understanding purpose. It is completed successfully. Next, 7 tables, 2 views from the schema or from the database HR. So we can see here, and here we can understand also that what sort of relationship we have. So this is an example of ER diagram for the database HR, and all the tables are being listed over here. And let me go to a particular relation. So you can see that these particular arrows are representing relations. And if I go on to them, they get highlighted, and they also highlight some columns. So you can see that once I am getting to this relationship, it is highlighting. I'm just selecting it. It is highlighting. You can see location ID and location ID in 2 tables, locations and departments. So in the locations table, this location ID is the primary key, and in the departments table, this location ID is the foreign key. So a primary key of one table, if it is being used in some other table for reference purpose, then we call it as a foreign key. So this could be one key, this could be a number of keys as well. So here also you can see that in this particular case, this relation employee ID goes from this particular table employees, and it goes into departments. The name has been changed here. You can see that the name is manager ID, but manager ID is actually coming from employee ID column only. Therefore, manager ID becomes the foreign key in departments table. So this is how foreign key works. primary key of one table is exchanged with other table for the reference purpose, that is called as foreign key. Let us move ahead and try to understand the next question. How can I create a SQL table from another table without copying any values from the old table? So once again, I have one table, I have another table, and I need to create a table from the previous one, but I don't want the values from the old table. That means I just want the schema part. So let us try to understand. So this basically we can do create table, new table as select star from old table. Okay, this is how we can do. So without copying, I'm able to create everything from the previous table. So let us try to do this. So let us come to this part and let us go into the local instance. And here I have the employees table. Now let me create table, and I will write emp underscore new, and then I will be writing as select star from old table. So I'm selecting everything. So as select star from employees employees. So let me run this command and try to understand what is happening to this particular command. So this command is executed and therefore I got no error. So you can see that create table, it is successfully done. Affected rows, 107 rows affected. So let me comment this command and let us try to run. Let us try to run now. Select or describe, DSCRIB, describe emp underscore new, emp new, and also let's do select star from emp underscore new. Okay, so let's do this also, and let me put limit because there will be so much of data. So let me put limit as well. So limit 10, only 10 records will be fetching. So let me comment this as of now, and let me execute this command, and you can see that the whole of the structure we are able to see. And let me uncomment this and execute this. Now you can see that whole of the data we are able to see. So this is what we have done. We did not explicitly copy it, but we just created the structure as well as we have inserted the data also into the table. Now let us go to the next question. The next question is, what is grant and revoke? Write their commands. So this can be a question asked in the interviews, grant and revoke. So you can see that grant, can you recollect from which type of SQL commands it is coming from? Grant. And revoke, it is coming from access controls, that is data control language, DCL. So it is coming from DCL, and DCL is used for providing privileges. So how much privileges to give to a user and how much not to give to a user. So grant query is to provide any user access privileges or other privileges for the database. Revoke is used to take back the privileges. So if you want to do this, do such kind of experiment, what you can do is you can actually go for creating. You can actually go for creating a new user and trying to work with that particular new user. So for creating a new user, you can go with create user command. So create user, and let's say I'm creating a new user and I'm naming it as let's say USER user one. So user one, and I need to make it with respect to my system, that is localhost. So I'm writing user at the rate user one at the rate localhost identified by, and here I can write password. So password also I'm writing user one. So this is how I'm trying to create a user. Let me execute this particular command, and I have executed, and you can see that this is successfully run. Now to this particular user, if I want to give access, so I can go to the home and I can click on this plus sign and I can try to make a connection, not to the root, but to USER user one. So I have changed the user. So you can see that I have changed the user. So if I'm changing the user and I'm testing the connection, it is going to ask the password. I'm writing user one as the password, and you can see that successfully made my SQL connection. Okay, and I can write okay here. Please enter the proper name of your new connection. Okay, I did not mention a name here. So USER user one CONNEC connection EST test. Okay, and I can click on OK over here, and it should be able to make the connection. You can see that the connection is made. If I double click on it, it is trying to connect. It may ask me password once again. Okay, it did not ask me the password. But now if I try to do show DATABAS databases and run it, So you can see that it is just showing us information schema. What is the reason for it? Because this user is not having any kind of privileges. Okay, so this is what we are talking about here. Data control language. We need to give privileges. We need to give privileges in order to order to make this user, enable this user work on the data. Okay, the tables. So if I really want to give any permissions, what I can do is I can do grant. Let's say grant all privileges privileges. So grant all privileges on hr.star to user1 at the rate local host. So what I'm doing is I'm granting all privileges on hr.star. So for HR database, for all the tables inside HR database, I'm granting all the privileges. Now let me go to, you can see here, this I did from local instance. This is another user. Now user one connection, I'm going to user one connection. I'm running the same command again. So are you able to see the HR here? Right? So this is what is we are talking about, that what is grant and what is revoke, because I have granted permission, therefore that user is able to access that particular database and it can now perform anything because I have done grant all privileges, therefore it will be able to access everything. Now let us move ahead to the next question. Before that, there is one more explanation I have already made. So granting create table access to user. For other examples are given: grant create table to username, revoke create table from username. These are some commands. And now let us move to the next question, which is how will you get system date using SQL query? So this is something just in a discussion in interviews, sometimes this question is thrown and asked. So this is select sysdate. So you just need to type select sysdate. So let us do that. So SELECT select SYSDATE select sysdate and semicolon. Let's enter it. So here you can see that it is telling us 8:38. So 38 minutes we have spent till now due to this in this discussion. So thanks for participating. And if you really like this, you can please subscribe our channel. You can share it with other people if you really like it. Also, you can comment if you want anything more complex, anything where you face difficulty. We will try to make it simple and present it to you. Let's move ahead with the next question now. The next question we have is from the other section, that is Python. So in the Python section, the first question we have is, what is the difference between for and while loop? So for and while loop. For while loop are not only in Python, but in other programming languages, they are being used. Now, for loop is used when you have definite iteration. Definite iteration means you know that how many times you need to go to office in a week's time. So how many times do you need to go? You just need to go to office, let's say 5 days. So you know that you have to work for 5 days. So when you know that how many number of times you need to iterate, then go for loop. But you don't know. In case of while loop, you don't know. Then what you do there? So in case of while loop, what you do, you basically try to work on a condition. Okay, so you try to work on a condition, and that condition helps you. Okay, that condition helps you to identify whether the condition is met or not. So for example, let me tell you some example. So until it is a declared holiday in the company, you need to work, irrespective of Sunday, irrespective of Monday. So in case of rotational shifts, so until it is a holiday, you need to keep on working. Okay, so while loop can be applied there. But for fixed set of number of working days, yes, for 5 days you have to go and 5 days you have to go. Okay, that's it. So let's move ahead. So if you want an example, so let us have the example here. So we can have the example of a for loop. For example, I have a list, and inside the list, this list is of people. So this people list is having 4 people in it. One is Anna, and another is let's say MANI money, and one more is Bharat, and let's have one more as Mohan. So these are the 4 people I have in my list. Now for these people, if I want to say them hi, so I can say them hi with the help of for. P in people. So for P in people, I can say print hi. Okay, so I can say them hi altogether, and here I can write P. Okay, so enter. So I can say to all of them hi. We can see that hi Anna, hi Mani, hi Bharat, hi Mohan. We knew that we need to iterate for 4 times. But let's say I have a condition. I have a condition that status, S-T-A-T-U-S, status is equal to hungry, H-U-N-G-R-Y. So now I don't know that till what till what amount of time or how much the person eats, then he will not be hungry more. Okay, I don't know, because somebody may eat 2 chapatis, somebody may eat 10 chapatis, so everybody's capacity is different, right? So in this case, well, better to go with while. So while status status is equal to hungry. So while status is equal to hungry, what we can do is we can keep on providing print have more sir. So keep on providing with more and more food. So this is going to be unending. This is going to be unending. So let me just put here input. Okay, so let me take an input over here. So the input would be let's say ch is equal to input are you sti still HUNGRY, are you still hungry? So let me make it more simple. Let me store it in the status variable only, so that we don't need to manage the code. So enter. So it will keep on asking, have more sir. Are you still hungry? HUNGRY, hungry. Have more, sir. Hungry. Okay. So till the time you will keep on telling I'm hungry, 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 it will keep on giving you. So I don't know that one person will put 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Okay. And once you are not hungry, no, it is going to stop. So this is the difference between for and while loop. Now let's come to the next question, which is what is the difference between a list and a tuple? So there's a bit of difference between them. They both are used to store a collection of items. That is the common thing between them. But the difference is that the list is mutable. You can change the elements of a list, but tuples are immutable. You cannot change the elements. You cannot append the elements. So that is the primary difference between them. Now, implication of iteration is time consuming in case of list. The implication of iterations is comparatively faster. The reason is they are immutable, so they are faster. Now, the list is better performing in operations such as insertion and deletion, and tuple is appropriate for just accessing elements. So understand, whenever you have some data which is having fixed number of elements, go for tuples. But if you have data which is dynamically increasing or decreasing, probably you must use list. List consume more memory. So those data structures which are dynamic, which are mutable, they normally contain consume more memory as compared to the static ones. Static length tuple is having. Now tuple consumes less memory as compared to the list. List has several built-in methods because it is mutable. Tuples does not have so many built-in methods. Now, the unexpected changes and errors are more likely to happen in case of list, again because it is mutable. But in case of tuple, it is really hard to have such kind of things. Now, the next question we have is, what is the difference between is and is equal to equal to? Let us understand the difference between them. So, is checks the identity and equal to checks the equality. So here we can have, for example, I have A is equal to, and I'm creating a list. I already have a list people. So you can see here, I already have a list people. So I create another list and I create list of, let's say, WRKRS workers. So workers is equal to PEOPLE, people. So I have copied workers into people. And now what I'm doing is I'm creating one more list, and this is LABORER, laborers is equal to. Now what I'm doing, I'm taking the same list. Understand here, I'm taking the same list, and the same list I'm putting here. So now if you see that whether I print worker, whether I print people or laborers, it is going to give you the same output. So print people then I'm going to print workers, and then I'm going to print laborers. So whatever I would be printing, in all the cases, what I'm going to get, in all the cases, I'm going to get the same result. Now let us try to understand what is and what is checks. So I will be checking, for example, B is equal to A is equal to A. So let us check that. So print B is equal to A. What is the output? The output it gives as, in our case, I need to put it as not B, people is equal to workers. So it is giving us output as true. Similar way, if I go for print and now, people is equal to laborers. And this is also going to give me an output as true. So what is happening is equal to is comparing the content which is inside the list, Now let me do print, and inside that I'll write people is workers. So if I write this way, what is the output I'm expecting? It's saying true. But when I write people is laborer, so in this case, is it going to return true? No, it is going to return false. This is the difference. People and worker are same. Why? Because we have initialized them this way. Worker is equal to people. So people and worker are same. But labor, although the content we have put are same, but they are still not same. So labor is still different. So this is the difference between the is and equal to. Let us move to the next question now. The next question is define a class named card with two attributes, color and speed. Then create an instance and return speed. So this is basically very fundamental. When you start with oops, you should know this. So create a class named class with two attributes, color and speed. So how to do that? You can basically start writing it as a class and then card, and after that you can mention the two attributes. So we have two attributes, color and speed. There are different ways of doing it. So let me do it with def underscore init underscore, and here I will have to write a self method and then color and speed, color, color, and speed, speed, color and speed. Now I'll be putting here self self dot color color is equal to color color, and similar way, not colors, color. Okay, and then next I'll have to do self dot speed is equal to, I'll have to mention speed over here this way. So this is how the class is created. Now the other task which was given there was to create a method. So what was the method name? The method name is create an instance and return speed. Not a method, just a class we have to create, and we have to create an instance. Instance means an object. So let's say C1 is the object. So C1 car, and here I will be initializing color, I'll be giving red, and I will be giving speed as 250 kilometers per hour. So let's say kmph. This is the speed of the car. So this I have given, and now you can retrieve any element by calling the object name and the particular variable name, the data member of that particular class. So speed is now 250 mpkh. Okay, kmph. Now let us move ahead to the next question. So the answer here also you can see the way I did, you can see that. Now let's move ahead. What is the difference between FUNC and FUNC with parenthesis? So this difference you must understand. So FUNC is the object representing the function, and FUNC with parenthesis, it basically calls that function. So this is the object and this is the calling, the way we call a particular function. Okay, so this is the difference between the two. For example, if I say print, so what is print? So let me show you. Inside this, if I write type print, so the output we are going to get is, it is built-in function or method. Okay, and if I do type and if I do print and with parenthesis, so in this case it is going to give us none type. So In this case, it is an object, and therefore the description of the object we are getting built-in function or method. And in this case, it is actually executed. It tried to print something which is inside it, and nothing is there inside it. Therefore, it is printing none type. Okay, so this is the difference between a function. Okay, so don't go to func just. It can be any function name. Now let us move to the next question. And the next question we have is explain with example how the reduce function works. So this reduce function is basically here you can see from function tools import reduce. Okay, so let me practically show you this. So here, so from function function tools import reduce. Okay, so once we are importing from it is func tools, it's not function tools. So from func tools, okay, import reduce. So this reduce method is very useful. Let's say we have a list. So you can see that we have a list 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 5, and you want to perform operation on 1 and 2. Then whatever is the result, then that result and 3, whatever is the result and 5. Okay, so first two elements, then the result, and the third element, and the result, and the fourth element. This is how if you want to run, then basically, yes, you can use reduce. So let me do this part. So what I'm doing here is I'm defining a function. So def and summa, summation. Summation is the name of the function I'm giving, and this function will accept x and y, two arguments. Okay, why x and y? Because I want to add these two arguments. So x and y, and after that I'm putting colon, and here I'm just writing res is equal to x plus y. That's it. And then I will be printing the res so that we can interpret the output. And now I will have a list. Okay, so let me create a list in the new cell. So li is equal to, we have a list of numbers, so 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. So this is the list I have, and now I'll be using reduce function. So reduce, and here I'll be using that summation, that function, and I'll be passing list and enter. So you can see here that this reduce function is going to work with the whole of the list, and it says that unsupported operand type plus for none type. Okay, plus for none type and int. Okay, so just a second. So why is it happening? It's happening because of this. So type print, and here it is coming none type. So let me just check. So instead of checking that, I'll just go to the runtime, and I will just factory reset the runtime and run it again so that we prevent some time. So it is resetting it, and let me now run this one, and followed by this list. Okay, and wait for the execution. So what does this reduce do? It basically accepts a function, and then it accepts a variable, and whatever is there inside this variable. So the elements of this variable, like for example, it's a list. So elements of the list will go one by one. So 1 and 2 will go first, 1 will become x and 2 will become y, and 1 plus 2 is going to happen. So 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 will stay at x, and this 3 is going to go to y, and then 3 plus 3 will become 6, 6 is going to stay at x, this 5 is going to go to y, and then the 6 and 5 that will get added, and it is 9. Okay, it is 11. So this is how this reduce function actually works. And here, let us see. So reduce, it says reduce not defined. So I understand why reduce not defined. So let me import from func tools reduce, and then let me execute this again. So hopefully it should give us the correct answer. So it says unsupported types. So let me once again cross check. So here summation x and y we are doing, and here we have the list. Okay, so it should happen. So let me quickly check on it. Let's go to Stack Overflow and find a solution quickly on it. So so I understand the error that it is telling us for string and summation of them. Okay, it's telling us about that. So if it is taking these values as strings, so let me do one thing. I will just do typecast. So int, and I will typecast this. Okay, so int, and I will typecast this as well. And now let us work on them, and hopefully it should work well. So it's not working that way. Int must be a string, a byte-like object, or non-time. Okay. So it gave us 3. So it gave us for the first one, which is good. Let me just comment this one, and let me again uh, comment this as well. And after commenting this, let me just add that res is equal to x plus 5. Okay, and let me just execute once again. So here it is giving us type error, unsupported operand type for plus, none type and int. Okay, none type and int. So this reduce should give them the next element. So it is not giving them the next element. There is some problem. So let's just check here and get it corrected. Okay. So let me just take one example here. So reduce in Python. So let's get the clarity. So here we have reduce function example, and let's make it clear quickly. So let it get opened up. Yeah, it's taking some time. Okay, so as we discussed that it takes the function and it takes the sequence. So both of the things it takes and apply a particular function passed in its argument. So that is what we are trying to do. And let us now look at the example. So here we have the example of reduce. Okay, so we did not use lambda function inside it. Okay, so we could have used lambda function also. So let us try to use that. So lambda function we are using a and b, we are passing a plus b, and so lambda function here, if you see, it is directly used instead of lambda. What we have done, we have used this function. Okay, so this is equivalent to lambda function. Fine. So let us try to run this particular example, and if this is working, then basically our example should also work. But no worries. Let's take this example and try to check it out. So I've taken this example and I'm working on my cell now, and I will be passing here, we have list as li. So let me pass it and let me check. So func tool is not defined. I understand. So I can remove that part. I can just call it as reduce. So this much should be working. So it is working well. Okay. So here, if I see the function has been passed, and after the function, the li has been passed, and this function is exactly same as what our function is doing. Okay, it is initializing also. Okay, our function is initializing also. So let me not initialize here. Let me just do a return here. Okay, let me just do return here, and let me run this. Okay, so in case of return, it is working fine. So it is changing some data types inside it, which basically we can work upon and check by printing what is the data type inside it. So I have used the same function, and here we have a shortcut function, which is lambda function. Now let us move ahead and go to the next question. And next question is, what does self refer to in a class? Okay, so what is self? Because now also I have created a class, and you can see that I had put the self keyword over here. So this is important to understand that this particular self keyword, it is the instance of the class itself. For example, I created an object, C1 is equal to car. So C1 is the object. So whenever C1 is calling, like C1.speed, or C1 is calling a function from the class, at that particular time, this C1 instance is going to be stored in the self, so that the class will be able to understand that this is the C1's code, because I can have thousands of objects created. So if 1000 objects are created, then how it is going to be known that this particular color is of which car, right? So that is something is important to have self keyword. So coming back here, so self keyword refers to the instance of the class itself. It's how we give methods access to and the ability to update the object they belong to. So again, the same thing. If we don't mention that, then there'll be a confusion that C1, the C1 speed and C2 speed. So whose speed is exactly it? So C1's instance is going to the self, C2 instance is going to the self, and that is how we are able to know that whose speed actually we are inquiring about. Now let's move ahead to the next question, which is, what is the difference between list and arrays? List and arrays. We have seen list and tuples, now list and arrays. So list basically, it contains elements belonging to different data types. Okay, so here you can see quickly. So I have already created a list. Li I'm creating once again. So li is equal to, we can have 1 comma 2 comma 3, and also we can have apple, apple, and apple they keeps doctor away, right? So you can see that I can have 1 to 3, I can have a string as well, so heterogeneous. But here you see only consist of element belonging to the same data type, Okay, so now in case of an array, we need to explicitly import a module. For example, here I'll have to import numpy. Okay, so import numpy as np. I have to explicitly import some module, and then I can create. For example, arr is equal to np dot, and then a RRAY array, and here I can pass a list. So I'll pass 1 comma 2 comma 3. So this ARR becomes a list. So this is how the list is getting created by explicitly importing a module. Now it cannot directly handle arithmetic operations. The list does not have this capability, but the if you see that NumPy array, it is having the capability for the operations which are to be done. Now here I have this list. Okay, so let me add 2-3 more cells over here. Let's say I have L1 as if I create 1 comma 2 comma 3 this way, and if I create L2, and L2 I keep it as 3 comma 4 comma 5, and if I try to do L1 plus L2, what will be the output? What do you think will be the output? So you can see that the output is appending. Okay, appending is the output. Now here I have ARR, and what I'm doing here is ARR1. Okay, so ARR1 if I do here, and if I create np.arr array, and here inside it I'm passing 4 comma 5 comma 6, and now I'm doing ARR plus ARR1, and what will be the output, do you think? So output will be a bit different from the above. It is performing the mathematical operation. You can see it is adding element wise addition it has performed. So here you can see that the kind of operations like cannot directly handle arithmetic operations, it can directly handle. So there are more functions. We are not getting into that in this question, but this is a difference between them. Now, can be nested to contain different types of elements. That is possible. Nested. Nested means a list can have a sublist. For example, here you can say li is equal to, here I can have one, here I can have a set 1 comma 2 comma 3. This is a set inside it, and then I can have a tuple also. Okay, 1 comma 2 comma 3. So you can see that this list is having a set also, a tuple also, so it can be nested. This is called as nesting, and you can go to a lot of levels to do nesting also. Now, in case of the array, whenever you are doing nesting, you need to maintain the size. You need to maintain the size. For example, here I did not maintain the size. One is single element. Here we have 2 elements. Here we have 3 elements. I did not maintain the size. But here ARR3 is equal to np dot array. So if I'm creating here np dot array, so I will have to, if I'm putting one bracket, I'll have to put one element, it is fine. But if I'm putting one bracket and putting 1 comma 2, so after that, here if I'm putting a comma, adding one more element, it should also have 3 comma 4. Like 2 elements, it should also have. Okay, so this is what is the meaning. Whenever you are doing nesting, at that particular time, you need to ensure that you are passing same number of elements within each component of the nesting. That is what you need to keep in mind. Now, list is preferred for shorter sequence of data. When you don't have larger data, go for list. But if you have a lot of data, longer sequence of data, go for arrays. List is yes, it has got greater flexibility, allow easy modification, addition, deletion. Okay, and I can understand that it's for shorter data basically, and it is flexible for that. But array, when we have a lot of data, that time it is good, but it is less flexible at that time for addition, deletion, for the elements, because we need to do it element wise. Okay, so here it is in list, it is possible. So that's the good part or advantage over the arrays. The entire list can be printed without an explicit looping, but an array. So a loop has to be created. So here you can see the array has been printed. It's not like it cannot be printed. It's printed, but if you want to iterate it, then you'll have to write a loop. Now, consume large memory. A list consumes large memory for easy addition of elements. array consumes less memory. So over a whole of the discussions we are doing about list and arrays, you can see that arrays are for large data sets, they consume less memory, and they can handle little complex situations as compared to the list. Okay, so always prefer arrays over list whenever you have such situations. Now the next question we have is, how would you round a number to 3 decimal places? So you can simply use a function which is round. So round function, and you can put the value and the decimal places. Now if you want to see this, so I have f is equal to 12.99 something something. Okay, so this is my f. So you can see that what is f. So this is the value of f I have. Okay, now I'll be using round function. Okay, so this round is going to help me f comma only 3 places I want. So this is going to give me the result with 3 places, and you can see that it is giving result as 2.987 was there, it became 87, 12.988. The 7 is rounded off because the next element was 6. So this is how you can do this part. Now coming to the Tableau section. So this would be the last section we have, because now we are already running out of time. So Tableau section, let's begin with the first question. What is Tableau? So Tableau is a data visualization tool, and it comes under BI, business intelligence. BI is for creating business reports, dashboards, visualizing the data. So anyone can connect, okay, from multiple sources, their respective data, can visualize them, and can interact with the data visualizations, and can share those dashboards across their, like if it is Tableau public, they can be published online, and if it is a paid account, and then it can be shared by login, by web, to the clients. Okay, so this is what is Tableau. Now next question is, what are the different Tableau products, and what is the latest version of Tableau? So we have Tableau Desktop, Tableau Server, Tableau Online, Tableau Reader, Tableau Public, Tableau Prep. Now all of them have their own purposes that can be discussed in the later part. So if you really want that on Tableau, you want a session, you please write in the comment box. We will come up with a Tableau videos, more technical part, and maybe whatever specific queries you are there, we will be coming up with that. Now let us move ahead to the next question. The next question is, how many maximum tables can you join in Tableau? So if you know that in Tableau we can join the table. So how many maximum tables can you join in the Tableau? So you can join 32 number of tables. Let's move to the next question. What are the different connections can you make with your data sets? So different connections. So now here connections, you can have either live or extract. Okay. So one is live you can connect, or extract you can use. So what is live? Live is basically connecting live to the data set, and whenever you are having some changes, they will directly go to the database, fetch the new details, and will show you. So that is what live does. Okay, so whatever live updations are being made, directly they are being shown in the, they are computed and shown in the visualizations. But in case of extract, extract will make static snapshot, like it will extract, and that will be static snapshot. So static snapshot means that it is extracted. Let's say, sorry. So let's say we had 1000 records. So in extract, 1000 records will be extracted, and now whether your data set is offline also, like from where the data is coming, data source is offline, then also you can work with extract. So this is the benefit of extract over the live, that once you have extracted, now let the data source be relaxing, and you can keep on working with it. So these are the ways that how you can fetch the data from Tableau. Now moving ahead, what is the difference between a tree and heat map? A heat map can be used for comparing categories with color and size. With a heat map, you can compare different measures together. That is the purpose of heat map. Tree map also does the same thing, except it is a it has a very powerful visualization and can be used for illustrating hierarchical data. Okay, so the difference is you can create hierarchies here. Okay, and that hierarchy shows part to whole relationship. So this also can be visualized and seen in Tableau. Now I'm moving to the next question. What is the difference between joining and blending in Tableau? So joining and blending, these are similar concepts, but the difference is that joining is when you have a data source, one data source, and in that data source you have different files, and now you want to bring those files and then Into those files, you want to perform some join operations. Okay, so worksheets in an Excel file or tables in Oracle database. So one database, for example, just now we have seen in MySQL. So in case of MySQL, whatever tables we have in this ER diagram, so if I'm bringing all these tables and performing joins with the help of these foreign and primary keys, that is basically joining. And the other thing, blending. So blending is when you are bringing data from SQL and you are bringing data from Excel. So from multiple places you are bringing data and then you are joining it. Okay, so from two or more than two sources, you are basically bringing data into Tableau and you are joining that. So that is called as blending part. Okay, what is TDE file? TDE. So TDE file is Tableau desktop file. So when once you save this particular file, there is an extension .tde. So this TDE is containing the data extracted from some external sources. Because in Tableau, the first thing we do is we connect a data source. After connecting a data source, we start working on some visualizations. So the data which you have connected, that data extracted is stored in this TDE file. So you can use this TDE file then as an independent file to work on that particular data set. Let us move ahead and try to understand what is story in Tableau. So story is basically a sequence of multiple sheets arranged in a particular manner. A visualization is all about stories, that how you can show the history, the progress, the kind of events which have taken place in the form of a story. So you can create multiple sheets and you can go to a section called as story and there you can work on it. Okay. So due to lack of time, I won't be getting into this part practically. So this probably will be covering in the upcoming video. But story is basically a combination of sheets where you can show a flow of events with the help of different visualizations in the chart. Moving towards the next question. What is the maximum number of rows Tableau can utilize at one time? So maximum number of rows, there is no limitation or restriction given by Tableau, so you can use as many as possible. And whenever a user is querying, so after the query, Tableau only fetches that many columns which is required in the query, okay, which is given in the query. So that is what it happens. Next question we have is, can we place an Excel file in a shared location and then use it to develop a report and refresh it in regular intervals? Very much yes, we can do this. If if you don't have even Tableau desktop access, you can go for Tableau public. Also, you keep the Excel file or Google spreadsheet into Google Drive and you can make a connection and you can make a live connection also. But always, if you want to consider the performance, go for extract option, because extract fetches out all the data and it works independently without being working for the original source. Let's move ahead and understand the next question. Can Tableau be installed on macOS? Yes, very much. Tableau can be installed on macOS as well as Windows operating system. Thank you very much. This is the end of the video, and I would really encourage you, if you like this video, if you want that other people should also watch this, please do share. And if you want more such videos, please don't avoid liking and subscribing the channel. Thank you very much. See you in the next